What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's video we're going to do an arrow build. This is my first time going at it, and full disclosure, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm following Dan's from Elk Shape instructional video. I watched that probably 50 times and I finally got the courage to do it myself, and here we go. Alright, so to build your own arrows, you need some components and certain little tools, right, to get the job accomplished. Obviously, you'll need some bare shafts. I went with Easton Axis 4mm match grade. Don't mind the train in the background. So these have really good reputation, as you guys know. I almost went with the TKOs, but I went ahead and got these bare shafts from Podium Archer, and that's just what I went with. We got of course, for your fletchings, I got what is it, Arizona EZ Fletch, just like Dan uses, the max left, the mini max left helical. We got an arrow spinner. Of course, you have to, well, you don't have to, but weigh your components and see what weight you're working with for each arrow. The arrows from Easton, they come with these new style insert, outsert, half outs looking things, which are amazing. They actually have a traditional insert with a little rubber O-ring to keep it perfectly centered in the arrow itself, and it goes inside with this like a regular insert, but then you have the majority of this sticking out like an outsert, but you do have a 5/8 overlap, so that really, in theory, should really strengthen your arrow up front. Okay. We also have a G5 squaring tool to square off your cut ends. AAE Epoxy, 24-hour part epoxy for your inserts. We have an AAE Fletching glue, super glue, if you will. Of course, a silver Sharpie to mark your ends before you square them off with the G5 tool. I'm going with the Halo Knox. I went with pink. These are for the micro arrows, which is what the 4mm arrows that I have, so you don't need any shims or anything like that. And then I went with the AAE Fletching. And these guys are the hybrids, which you don't need a primer pen. Again, I'm literally following Dan's video to a T, with the exception of a few things. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Oh, the arrows did come, obviously, like I said, with the insert outserts, and it has this little tool in there. I think it's a bevel tool to bevel the ends a little bit so the washer doesn't get caught up on the arrow when you put them in. I'm not 100% sure. That's what I think it is, but that's how I'm going to use it. So here we go. Follow along if you want to build your own arrows. Let's go. Alright, guys, so first things first, we have to square off the ends that got cut. So my arrows, carbon to carbon at 28 inches. So the end that got cut off, I'm going to mark it with the silver Sharpie. And basically the idea to this is so you have something to, like a visual, so when you're sanding off, squaring off your arrows with the squaring tool, this G5 squaring tool, basically you want to scrape it until you don't see any more silver. And usually the saws, they do a pretty good job, but depending on who's cutting it, even if you're really careful with it, you're still a little bit off, and that could make a really big difference downrange if your insert is not square to your arrow. So marking off all of these with the silver Sharpie. Hopefully that focuses on it. And then we're going to use the tool to square them all off. Okay? So I'm going to start marking these all. Alright, I apologize. I totally forgot to put my mic on. So hopefully the background noise is not as bad. So now that we marked the arrows, we're going to square them all off. Okay? Just put a little bit of pressure. And the silver is gone. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but see how this one was a little bit off square? You just keep. Now we squared off the ends. Next thing is I'm going to bevel the ends with this little grinding wheel, I guess, that came with the arrows and the inserts. So I'm just going to do that. I'm pretty sure that that's what these are for, or this tool is. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then we'll get to epoxying the inserts. So it's a 24-hour epoxy. The reason why I went with that option is I want to be able to spin my arrows with the inserts in and get the wobble out. The way Dan did it from Elk Shape, he dry fitted the inserts, marked them with a line that transferred onto the arrow, and then hot glued them and matched the line. What I'm going to do is put the glue, and really what he ran into a little bit of a problem, is these little rubber O-rings. When you put them in and you pull it, dry fit it, and you pull it back out, some of those rubber, you see that little orange rubber O-ring, some of those came off when he pulled them out, and it was stuck inside the arrow. So I was thinking, well, hey, instead of doing that, I'll just go with 24-hour epoxy from AAE. I'll put the glue on, put the insert in, spin it on my spinning tool, and then once I find the sweet spot, just leave it, and 24 hours it's ready to roll. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I did put some napkins on my pad here because glue can be messy, obviously. So now we're going to get to gluing. I'm going to do one arrow at a time. The one thing that you do want to do before you do any inserts or outserts or anything like that, you want to make sure that you pull your nocks out, because it's going to create a little vacuum pressure, and if you don't have your nocks out, it can really, your inserts won't get seated all the way, or you're running that risk that your inserts are not going to get seated all the way in. So make sure you do that, okay? Regardless if you're going to stick to the factory nocks or if you're going to go with aftermarket nocks or Luminox or whatever, okay? So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take all the nocks out. Okay, one thing I do want to share with you guys, and I'm sure you've seen videos or instructions from other YouTubers, is at this point right now, if you really want to get particular to the very, very grain of your arrows, you could measure, or I'm sorry, you could weigh all the components. So weigh each arrow and mark it, weigh each insert and mark it. You could weigh your broadheads and mark it and all that, and basically you're gonna have all this data with all the weights for each individual component, and then you're gonna grab your heaviest arrow with the lightest components, and you work your way through the list, and basically, or through all your arrows and components, and basically what you're gonna have is arrows that are very, very similar in weight to like the grains, like literally. In this particular video, like I just need to get these arrows going. Again, this is my first arrow build. I'm not gonna get that particular with my weights and my arrows. Hopefully I'm not gonna regret it, but that's what I'm gonna do this time. My next arrow build, maybe I will go with measuring everything out and trying to get everything in line. Okay, so now I am going to mix the epoxy in this little bottom of a cup. I grabbed some Q-tips that I'm going to use to apply the epoxy to the inserts, and we'll go from there, and we'll start spinning the arrows and we'll rock them out. Let's go. All right, so again, we're using AAE 2-part epoxy, 24-hour epoxy. Take a Q-tip. Mix this really, really good until the color is consistent, right? I'm sure you guys know that. Okay, we'll take our first arrow. We'll start here. Kind of working it in and out. You want to push it in. Wipe the excess. Glue. And now let's it's looking really good. So that one's looking good. Okay. Next arrow. And another way you could spin it is you could assign, again, your broadheads to each arrow by weighing everything. Put your broadhead on, see the way it spins, and for that particular arrow, and then you could rotate it, okay? So you could also do that. So we'll take the glue, make sure you put it all the way in. This is where the part where it's really important that you don't have your knocks in. You pushing that in like that. If you have your knock in, it would create pressure inside the arrow. This one has a little bit of wobble. We're going to quarter twist. Still a little bit of wobble, quarter twist. Keep twisting it until the wobble's out. This is why I went with the 24-hour epoxy and not the hot glue. That looks beautiful. Okay. Another thing I like to add is some people like to use some alcohol or or acetone and put on a Q-tip and clean out the inside of your shaft of any debris, because there's obviously some debris in there from cutting it and grinding it. But I've also heard that if you leave that debris in there, it actually binds the glue better to the arrow itself. So I think that's kind of not a conspiracy, but I feel like some people think you should pull all the debris out, or like a clean surface for the glue to adhere onto, and then other people think that, hey, if you leave that carbon debris in there, it actually helps with the glue like really binding to the carbon. So I don't know if that's myth or fact or whatever, but I opted with not cleaning out the debris. And that first test arrow I did, I already probably shot it 50 times and I haven't had any issues with it. This has absolutely no wobble in it. And we'll go on to the next one. I'm obviously going to speed through a lot of this just because it's the same process over and over and over. But you guys feel free to hit me up with any questions. I will make sure to get back to you. I can promise you that. I do a pretty good job getting back to our followers on YouTube. Glued in all my insert half outs on this Easton Axis 4mm match grade. I have to wait 24 hours so I can finish the job. All right, here we go. Thanks for following along. Hit that subscribe button. Check out our channel for some hunting videos, reviews, and yeah, let's finish these babies up. Let's go. We're back. It's been 24 hours. These bad boys are nice and cured, the epoxy. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna degrease the ends. I don't believe you have to, but I would recommend it. It doesn't hurt. I'm just using some 91% alcohol. And again, I'm using the hybrid vanes, AAE. Because they're hybrid, you do not need to use a primer pen of any sort. And once again, I'm using the Arizona EZ Fletch Mini Max with the left helical, and that is because when I shot my new bow, I tested it with the bare arrow, made a mark on top, shot it really close to the target. I'm talking about 4 feet from the target. When I looked at my marking, it was turned to the left about a quarter of the way. I stepped away a couple more feet, shot it again. It moved about another quarter, so a full half. So that to me, and I did it a couple times, and that to me basically told me my arrow is naturally moving to the left, which I hear it's really common for Matthew bows for right-handed bows. So it probably has something to do with the way the strings are spun. So which is why I went with the left helical, okay? I am using the Halo Lit Nox. And so first things first, insert the Nox, or I should say first things first, degrease the shafts, insert the Nox, and then we'll get ready for gluing. Here we go. And you do not want to use acetone or anything like that because it could mess with the structure of the arrow. Okay, so we decrease these bad boys. A little bit of residual carbon dust on there. So what I'm going to do is use 2 blues. it's a warning label in there, or just a reminder not to clean the vanes because they're hybrids. So you don't need a primer, in other words. So we're gonna get some vanes out. I'm gonna do 2 blues, 1 pink for my knock vane. I don't need that many. Okay, this thing is really easy to use. Inside of here, there's a little knock rest where you put your arrow with the knock in. If you're really particular on where you want your knock vane aligned on your arrow, like let's say for the TKO's arrows, there's a spine mark on your arrow, and if you want to line your knock vane with that spine line, obviously you can turn this jig around so all your arrows are nice and lined up with your knock vane. So that's really easy to use. At least the one arrow I did was really simple. So we'll see if it's going to go as smooth as it did for me earlier in the first time I did it. So we're going to put the knocks in. Alright, the vane glue I'm going to be using is AAE Max Bond. It's really cool. It has a really nice and pointy tip, which is very important for applying glue on the vanes, because you want to work with a really fine point. Okay, we'll set that over there. You want a Q-tip to clean up any excess glue, and basically what you're gonna do is spin this bad boy around so these open up. Get your arrow in the knock, or get the knock in your jig to make sure it's in that groove in there perfectly. Make sure you place your vanes in the right order and the right orientation, right? You don't want to put them in backwards. And I'm probably being a little bit too careful, but all right, so my vanes are in there. Now I'm going to take the glue, put some dots of glue in there, and then rub the glue all the way in, up and down the footing of the vane. Okay, the glue is applied. Make sure you close this down. Make sure these are nice and aligned the way they're supposed to be. Put the cap on and push down on it really nice. Okay, and now we wait about a minute. After the minute is up, like I said earlier, use the Q-tip, clean up any excess glue. I heard these could really be a pain if you put too much glue on there. I think that goes with any jig really, but because this is plastic and if you put too much glue on there, the jig itself could adhere to the vane or to the arrow, and then it's stuck and it creates a mess, or worse, you're gonna break the jig to get it apart. The arrow, I mean, it's salvageable, right? You might rip the glue or the vane and you just scrape it and start over, but the jig, you don't want to break that. So we'll wait for a little bit longer, like I said. The cool thing or I should say the ideal thing with this is to have two of them. And as this one is sitting here and you're prepping the next one, then when you set the second one, then this one's ready to take apart. Okay, so at some point, if I end up making a bunch of my arrows all the time and all that, I might get a second jig, but for now I think we're in pretty good shape. That's been about a minute. Take the cap off. Let's open these bad boys up. Very little excess. Very little. And now, and I've seen a couple other guys do it, but obviously Dan from Elk Shape, you put a little dab of glue on the ends of each fletching, and like that you're reducing the fletching to peel back if you have a pass through on your target. So we'll do that really quick. Just a nice little dab of glue. And just like that, you guys, we got our first one done. It's all seated nice. Yeah, that's the way to do it. This jig works beautifully. So there's one arrow. Let's go to the next one. Make sure it's seated in there. Beautiful. Okay, so we'll put the vanes in. What I'm doing is I'm adding some dots of glue, and then I spread the glue around. Okay, now we wait a minute. We're gonna do this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more times. And we got 2 done so far. And that's with me filming and talking, and really it should only take you maybe 3 minutes an arrow, if that. So, like I said, the biggest thing is you wanna make sure that you don't put way too much glue, because that could really cause some issues. So we'll wait about 30 more seconds. That is looking pretty sexy. Ooh, baby. I'm going to try to put the vanes in before I put the arrow in. Like I said, I'm going to put a couple dots. Get it in there nice and tight. Wait another minute. See, this is what I mean. This is where, man, if you had 2 of these, you could really bust these out, because you could just set this down, get the next one going, glue, 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 set it, then bam, you could pop this off and get going. with the next one. But yeah, these bad boys are looking good. Let's go. I guess there is a downfall to these hybrids. If you're looking to go super light with your arrow setup, these hybrids are a little bit heavier than the regular AAE vanes of the same size. So just keep that in mind. But again, that's like if you're getting super technical, which right now I'm just dabbling with this, making my own arrows, so I won't go down that rabbit hole quite yet. So I don't know if the camera can pick it up. There's very little seepage. There's like a dot here and there. Again, putting a little bit of glue on the end of each fletching and like that to reduce the fletching on catching on material of like a target. If you're shooting through a target and it goes all the way through, a complete pass through, having a little bit of glue right on the tips should help with the fletching getting caught and starting to peel back. I'm kind of stating an obvious right now. If you're planning on switching your nocks, you want to be cautious about that, because different nock manufacturers sit in your arrow a little bit different, and there could be, like, if this stock Easton nock is seated all the way to the shaft, there's a good at least 1/4 of an inch difference with these in length. It will add a 1/4 of an inch. So if you're not careful and you're not paying attention to this little bit of detail, your fletchings will sit totally different in your arrow. So, but if you run some arrows in your quiver with this nock and then some arrows with this nock, then your arrows are going to be different lengths, not to mention different weight, because this is way smaller. It's just plastic, doesn't have an LED in it like this one does, or a battery or a button or any of that. So you'll have to be really you'll have to pay attention to that, obviously. And I know I'm stating it obvious for you guys. There's a lot of you guys out there that are experts in this. I'm not even a intermediate by any means. I'm just getting started. But anyways, for some of you guys that are just getting into archery, I figured I should point that obvious fact there. But let's get this baby out. And I like to pinch these arms when I pull the cap off, just so you're not jerking those vanes around at all. A little bit of seepage, but not bad. All right, you guys, so we're done here with the last arrow. So let's weigh a couple of these arrows and see what they weigh. I am shooting a QAD 125 grain broadhead, so I have some field points that are 125. And let's make a little room here. We're looking at 477.6. This one's almost a grain heavier, 478.4. 477.3, 475, 479, so as you can tell, there's a little bit of variance in them, not much, but this is where it makes a huge difference. $479. This is where it makes a huge difference if you weigh all your components and spread them out, put them on a graph or whatever, or on a sheet, and you have the heaviest arrow lined up to the lightest, the heaviest insert to the lightest, the heaviest, you know, knock to the lightest, and so on, and you always go from one end of the spectrum on the arrow to the opposite end of the spectrum with the components, and like that you'll meet in the middle as you work your way through. So let's try one of these with the clear nocks, which is the red color nocks. Let's see if that makes a difference. 478.7. So they're all within what, a grain to a grain and a half. So I'm pretty happy, honestly. We'll see. Now we just have to go see how they shoot. I'm gonna have to put field points on all of these, and we'll shoot these babies and see how they fly and how they hold up. I am pretty confident that they're gonna do good. The first arrow that I did as a test arrow, it's been flying really great. I've only went out to 50 yards with it, as I'm still tinkering with my bow a little bit, and I didn't want to go too crazy with it until I had the rest of my arrows built. Alright, so if you've been following along, if you made it this far through this video, thank you for doing so. If this was at all helpful, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, or if you saw something that I did and it's like, dude, you're doing this way wrong, please leave me a comment. Again, this was my first time doing this, and I try to do my best to follow what Dan from Elk Shape did on one of his videos. I know he posted one here recently on what he's going to be hunting with this year, but I basically followed a video that he did that on using Easton's arrows. I don't think they were the Axis, they were different ones, but anyways, all right, let's go to the range.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low,